Welcome to our video series on ways to automate your online business. In this video, we'll explore other business options, including consulting and partnerships. As we round out this set of videos, I'm just going to talk through a number of possibilities if you're very serious about growing your business and at the same time in a quite hands-off way. Of course, the first consideration is, do you want to bring in employees? But of course, if you do that, then you start having to get involved in management issues and potentially having an office and dealing with that. Then, of course, a possibility related to that, if your business has the funds, bring in a manager you trust, and it's his or her job to recruit employees and look after the office and manage the employees and run the day-to-day tasks of the business. And obviously, your business wouldn't need enough money to do that, and you would need to bring in someone you trust, and you'd need to overlook certain aspects. For example, the financial aspect, and maybe interview potential employees just to make sure you're happy with them. But really, at that stage, you start becoming more and more of a business owner and even investor rather than a business manager. Your role changes to that of the owner of a business, an investor in the business, and a consultant in the business, but not actually managing it on a day-to-day basis, which in a way is like the way venture capital works. They put money in, they choose good people, and they offer advice based on their experience, but they aren't involved in the nitty-gritty, day-to-day aspects of running a business. And that, in many ways, is the ideal setup and what many business owners aspire to. Or actually more so, when the business gets to such a state that they're purely an investor and they don't really have to be involved with the business at all anymore, or they help to build the business up as an investor, consultant, and owner, and then they choose to sell their stake in the business, and then they go on and do something else. So again, the bottom line here is if you really want to automate your business, look at being less involved in the day-to-day. Try to be less involved in the day-to-day tasks and focus more on being an owner/investor/consultant so you can reap the rewards of the business without having to do everything yourself. And you can attempt to set up a similar situation by using freelancers. For example, using freelancers to answer customer support, or maybe a freelance manager managing some aspects of product creation and product launch. However, that does create potential issues of non-disclosure in private business details, and also how certain tasks aren't particularly conducive to freelancers because how committed are they going to be? And really, if you use them again and again and again, it may be worth bringing them on board as an employee, even if they aren't actually physically where you're working. So there are a number of things to consider there to make your dealings with the business less involved. And really, I guess that is the goal of many business owners, to become less involved in the day-to-day running of the business and still reap the rewards of the business by being an owner and consultant and not actually running every aspect. And one final aspect you may want to consider if you have the right skills or can find a company to partner with them and bring to them your expertise. Let me give you an example. Really, with such a setup, you would be able to bring to an existing company the ability to make more money with what you would bring in. Let's say you're a marketing consultant, and let's say you specialize in helping accounting firms grow considerably. So rather than just being a marketing consultant and being paid per hour, what you could potentially do is find joint ventures. Go into partnerships with accounting firms you trust. Obviously, they have to trust you and believe in your expertise to make them more sales, but let's say you've overcome those barriers and you've come to an agreement with 5 accounting firms. Obviously, you don't want to take on too much, but you've agreed with those firms that you're going to grow their sales by X amount in the next 12 months. You'll do the day-to-day marketing, and they'll do the management of the marketing. In other words, they'll place the advertisements, they'll deal with leads, they'll follow up with customers, and they run the business. They provide the actual service and look after their employees and run the office and all that. Really, you're providing your marketing expertise and making them more money, but you're not doing it in a pay-per-hour or a flat fee way. You're being paid for results. And often, unless you really trust the company you're working for, it may be a good idea to ask for a deposit of perhaps $5,000 or $10,000. And then that's an advance payment for your royalties or your future commissions. The reason for doing that is that if you don't ask for a deposit and you don't really know the company, you may do quite a lot of work, but they may never really implement it fully. Whereas if they've paid you a deposit of $10,000, a non-refundable deposit of $10,000, they're going to be really motivated to make a lot more use of the expertise you provide them. However, if you really know the company and have worked with them before, this may be a lot less of an issue. So let's say Company X has paid you a deposit of $10,000, and you've agreed on, it would probably be a good idea to agree on percentages beforehand, and percentages of gross sales might be difficult depending on their profit margin. And percentages of profit margin might be difficult to prove because some people do use creative accounting, and they may not want you looking through their accounting books, but perhaps you can agree on a percentage of the growth. For example, perhaps you could agree that for every $1,000 spent on your services, they on average make $300 profit. So let's agree to a, let's say 25% commission. So that comes to 25% of $300 is $75. Therefore, you might come to an agreement that for each $1,000 the company makes above last year's revenue, for example, as a comparison point, then you get paid $75 in commission. And then you have to agree to a payment plan. Is it paid monthly? Is it paid quarterly? How long is it paid for? Is there a cap after a certain period of time, or a cap after a certain amount of money, or can they buy you out at any time for a pre-agreed amount of money? So those are a number of things to consider, and a lot of this would have to be laid out legally. And again, it really comes down to your trusting them and them trusting you, and you benefiting them with your expertise, whatever it is that you're bringing to the table. If you can bring something, if they can benefit in some way that it's difficult, if not impossible, for them to do for themselves, then that makes a good potential for a partnership agreement. And you can make a lot more money that way, and it can be a lot more hands-off, because once you've set up the marketing and it's working for them, then your task is just to be available as a consultant, and you'll have a lot less work on an ongoing basis. And let's say the accounting firm made $2 million in revenue last year, and 12 months after starting work with you, they've made $3 million in revenue for that year. That would come to a commission of $75,000 for you if we use the numbers we've talked about here. And again, the real benefit of such an arrangement is that most of the work is done up front, and then after that, you just get paid again and again and again. And actually, just as a last example, direct response copywriters often work in such a way, and direct response copywriters specialize in writing copy for selling products and services. For example, all that junk mail you get from the Postal Service, the junk mail that works is written by professional copywriters because it's their job to sell things to you through the written word. And often, the best copywriters work on a commission and a fee. Some of the best copywriters have a starting fee of $30,000 for, let's say, an 8-page letter, and then X% of sales, or X number of cents per each letter mailed. Such an arrangement gives them immediate income in fees, and then an ongoing commission for as long as the letter is mailed. So really, what I'm getting at in this final video is it an option for you, instead of managing everything yourself, or bringing in employees, or even owning a business, is it a better option for you to partner with existing businesses and bring something that really benefits them, and in return for the benefits you bring in, they pay you on a commission basis? Is that realistic for you? Is that something you can potentially get up and running? And if you don't currently have expertise like that, Are there skills and expertise that you do have or can acquire that you can aim for to build arrangements like that in the future? And actually, let me just round out this video by saying that there are actually some franchises. There's a franchise I know about that actually works in such a way. They sell the training for, it's a considerable sum, but for a considerable sum, they sell the training and they support you in becoming a marketing consultant. Then it's your job, with their support, to find clients in your local area. And not just clients that pay you hourly, but actual partnership clients. And this entire opportunity is sold to you as a franchise. It is quite expensive, though. The last time I checked, it was about $80,000 to actually purchase the franchise, and there's an ongoing fee. But they give you all the training and support so you can find marketing clients to partner with in your local area, and then you can start earning residual commissions from those partnerships. Of course, I'm sure there are lots of different subject areas or business areas where you can create such arrangements. Obviously, an example, of course, and what many people aspire to, is to have a best-selling book, and then get paid royalties on book sales, or royalties on music sales. It's the same sort of setup. You do the work once, then you keep getting paid again and again. So, can you create such arrangements with your existing skills, or with skills you can develop, to create such business arrangements and get paid again and again for work you've only had to do once?